And a very good Monday night to you all new, the RCWR show live. Well, those of you that's joining us live right now, we are live right now as it's 11:20 p.m. Eastern. We do welcome you all as we are just a couple of minutes removed from tonight's new WWE Raw for March 30th, 2015. It's my favorite time of the year as it's the Raw after WrestleMania. Woo, a lot of stuff that we got to cover on tonight's episode. As always, we appreciate y'all that take the time out to join us every single week right here live on YouTube. You can interact with me for the next little bit, number of ways. Post your comments down below. You can also tweet us at the RCWR show. Again, on Twitter at the RCWR show. Please do me a huge favor. Share the link of this episode throughout social media, Facebook it, Google Plus it, retweet it, Pinterest it. One of the many ways you can spread the good word about our content. New watchers, you're checking us out for the very first time. Hope you enjoy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on all the great content we do for you on a weekly basis. And as always, for you newcomers, we got to look out for the newcomers. I know we have long time subscribers, watchers, yay, indulge me. We got to make sure we look out for the new folks. If you're new to us, you're checking us out for the first time, and you're looking for actual WWE Raw footage, you might be able to find video highlights at WWE Fan Nation here on YouTube, or you might be able to find some stuff on their website at WWE.com. All right, off the break, I want to talk about Sting's future in the WWE. I did watch it. That's why we were a little bit late coming on, had a little bit of a false start time. That's why we said 11:20 p.m. Eastern we would start for you guys. Really, there wasn't that much that was there. Those of you that missed it, or you don't have access to the network at this time, basically Renee Young was in the ring and she welcomed Sting. Sting actually appeared after Raw went off the air on the USA Network. He had his in-ring gear on, his makeup, all that good stuff. He got in there, and Renee Young asked him straight up, what does the future hold for Sting? And Sting pretty much said that he's not really sure what the future holds with him in the WWE right now, or with the WWE. But the one thing that he did say is that any opportunity that the WWE throws his way, he would reach out. He would definitely grab it. And we saw probably one of the most, for some of you hardcore Sting fans, probably a most peculiar moment come about as we saw, of all people, Bo Dallas would come out and say to Sting that, hey, he probably doesn't remember, but Sting had painted his face when he was a little kid, and that he's a big fan of his work, and that, hey, he made his big in-ring debut at WrestleMania, grandest stage of them all, and he lost in front of a sold-out Levi's Stadium. And he told him that, as far as his future in the WWE goes and everything, pretty much all he has to do is leave. Sting ain't got time to hear all that crap, as you would imagine. He put him in the Scorpion Death Drop, looked at the crowd, did a couple of woos, pointed at them. That was pretty much it. So, big takeaway you can get from that is Sting is open to working with the WWE again in the near future. Very vocal crowd it was at this stadium tonight. I know they were in California, but I never did get a chance to hear. Maybe they said it, I just missed it, but I didn't hear which stadium they were at. I don't know if that was the Levi's Stadium again. Somebody help me out. Let me know if they were at the Levi's Stadium again or if it was at another stadium. But great overall. The crowd, oh my God, they were phenomenal tonight. I always have a great little conversation going on with some of my wrestling buddies, and it's always this question: would you rather be at WrestleMania or would you rather be at the Raw the night after WrestleMania? Because I mean, both shows are equally good, and WWE, they know that they're on to something with the Raw after WrestleMania. Because for those of you that may have not checked it out on WWE's website, when it comes to WrestleMania time, they have like these great premium packages available where they try to hook you up with tickets for WrestleMania night and then the night after WrestleMania. Some of the packages they throw in hotel accommodations, traveling, to and from the airport, all that other good stuff. You're pretty much on your own. But depending on the tier package, you can definitely get tickets for both nights. So, I must say, it seemed like this year the tier packages were a little bit affordable. They were kind of within your grasp, but nothing beats just kicking back and just getting that Kevin Dunn production value, Triple H, Vince McMahon production standpoint on your TV screen and seeing all the great different angles and just the way this crowd for sure tonight was reacting. I love that main event match, man. I'm just going to go a little bit all over the place. I'm not going to go in a particular order tonight. I love the main event match. When I think about the crowd reaction in the main event match, it had involved Randy Orton, who had needed to find two partners to take on Seth Rollins, Kane, and the Big Show. Randy Orton would end up reaching out to, oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now. Randy Orton would end up reaching out to Ryback, and he would reach out to Roman Reigns. That was your 3-on-3 tag match to close out Raw tonight. Crowd very vocal, especially with the Big Show. They actually had unanimous chants of "please retire." Yes, please retire. And it just made Big Show look at them like, what the hell? And he was actually smirking. It was a freaking awesome moment right there. The team of Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and Ryback picking up the victory over that team. Some of you may be wondering, well, wait a minute, Lee, what's going on with Brock Lesnar? Some of you that just checked out the episode description, man, Brock Lesnar snapped tonight. That's the nicest way we can really put it. If you want to get real, he went ape shit. Let's just be honest for what it's worth. That's exactly what went down with him. I love the fact that Raw kicked off tonight with Brock Lesnar, the former WWE champion. I love the fact that hour 2 began with Brock Lesnar. We'll tell you about that in a couple of seconds, but hour 1, soon as the show opens up, you get past the intro graphics, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman comes out. Paul Heyman does all the talking. He basically says, look, my client, Brock Lesnar, he has every right to go back to the state of California and he can tie up the WWE and litigation, with the lawsuit and everything. And basically, when it's all said and done, he can screw with WWE in a way where the WWE championship is going to be vacant because he never lost the WWE championship officially because Seth Rollins came in, cashed in his money in the bank briefcase. I gotta pat myself on the back on that one. I know there's a lot of other podcast shows that's out there and everything. I choose not to listen to them, except I do love a good episode of Eddie Trunk. I do love a good episode of Jim Ross from time to time, but as of late, I've just been like doing my own thing, just worrying about my own content. That way I can try my damnedest to be as most original as possible. And I was just looking at the current card as it stood going in the WrestleMania. And for those of you that checked out our prediction special, you know where I'm going with this. But I said on that prediction special, if I'm the bookers in WWE, I'm looking at WrestleMania, I'm trying to create a fantastic moment that's going to have people talking to set up a pretty good and hopefully a very watchable episode of WWE Raw night after WrestleMania. I'm pulling the trigger. I'm going to make Seth Rollins cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, become the champion. And sure enough, that's exactly what went down at WrestleMania. I was in love with that. The belt looks good on Seth Rollins. I got to admit that. And I was looking at comments from our WrestleMania post show off and on today as I was off from work. And I mean, so many of you were just vocal about Roman Reigns. A lot of you were like, hey, he really should have been the champion. They should have gave it to him. Other half of you pretty much said his time will come, just not right now. Needs a little bit more seasoning. But you guys were very vocal with regards to that. But Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, trying to get that rematch. They wanted it right there on the spot tonight. They didn't want to wait until the next pay per view. They wanted it tonight, right there on the spot. And next thing you know, Stephanie McMahon came out, had a little bit of interactions with Paul, basically saying, hey, Seth Rollins, since he became champion, he's been doing a lot of media stuff all day. He's actually in the air right now. But when he touches ground, he's definitely going to get suited up and he's going to do this match. You want your rematch? Yeah, you'll have it. No problem. And that was pretty much the end of that. Going into hour 2, we saw Brock Lesnar come out. He's ready to go because he had got word that Seth Rollins did arrive. He was there, so he went on out. Ready for action. Seth Rollins came. Looked like we were going to get this match underway. Only thing that was missing was the referee ringing the bell. It did not happen as Seth Rollins would exit the ring, look at his title, grab a microphone, and reveal to Brock Lesnar that he spoke with Stephanie McMahon and that there's been a little bit of a change of plans because he has a little bit of jet lag and his foot hurts. Oh, the poor little baby. And as a result of that, he wouldn't be able to fight Lesnar tonight. But he would give him his rematch clause somewhere down the road. He did not let Lesnar know exactly when that was going to be. Lesnar snapped after that. Lesnar, he barely managed to get a hold of Seth Rollins a couple of times. Barely really wasn't able to do that much of a serious impact to him as Seth Rollins escaping the beast with his title took off in the crowd section. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar, I mean, he went in beast mode. I mean, ape shit. Let's call it ape shit mode, or Slam City bitch, as he said it best at the WrestleMania event. We saw him brutally attack J&J security. He sent them flying over the Spanish announcers table. Luckily, the Spanish announcers table didn't take that much damage. However, the U.S. announcers table with JBL, Michael Cole, Booker T, boy, did it suffer a beating for once. I'm sure if that Spanish announcers table could talk, it would probably say, now you know how it feels, Holmes. Don't feel so good, huh? As Brock Lesnar, I mean, he literally just, I mean, with such ease, he just flipped the announcers table over. And that pretty much took out JBL, Michael Cole, Booker T. I guess Michael Cole really didn't get the gist of it. You know, the impact is what I'm trying to say. As next thing you know, we see Brock Lesnar grab Michael Cole, throw him in the ring. Paul Heyman pleading with him. No, what are you doing? That's Michael Cole. He's just a play-by-play guy. Let him be. Brock Lesnar did not care. Over the shoulders. Woo-wee. F5. That was it for Michael Cole. Poor Michael Cole. Now, you know, I have an interesting theory here with regards to Michael Cole taking the F5. I want you guys to marinate on this and let me know if I might be on to something. But do you think it's very well possible that Michael Cole could have gotten in this segment, taken the F5 and all that as a little bit of punishment, if you will, for fumbling with the start time of WrestleMania last week? Do you think it's possible that this was, I don't know, maybe this was Vince or whoever, maybe it was just their way of kind of getting back to him a little bit? Because, you know, this isn't the first time that I can recall an incident go down where Michael Cole, he messed up on something that he was supposed to put over, didn't go right, and then the very next week he's involved in some type of a really, really bad segment. I can't remember the circumstances, but somebody that has a better memory than I do, they'll probably be able to recall this, and maybe they'll be able to put up a link from Daily Motion or whatever. But I remember several years back, there was an incident that occurred. I want to say it involved Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember there was a situation where there was some type of brawling or whatever that was going on about by the announcers table, and whoever the other announcers were at the time, they sold the moment of what was going on with the action coming to them. You know, they were grabbing their paperwork. They looked very concerned. They look a little bit frightened. And, you know, they kind of stood off to the side. But you just had Michael Cole. He was right there. He wasn't selling it. And I remember the very next week, whoever that wrestler was that was bringing the action to them, that same wrestler beat Michael Cole's ass. Now I don't know. I'm really tempted to say it was Stone Cold, but I'm really pushing my memory. But this isn't the first time that Michael Cole has been in a situation where he's goofed up in the next week physically. He's paid the price for it. So I can't help but wonder if maybe they were trying to get back at him a little bit. I will tell you this much: after basically destroying J&J Security, so that's two guys, taking out pretty much JBL, Booker T, Michael Cole, delivering an F5 not once but twice to a cameraman, Stephanie McMahon would come out, had no choice but to indefinitely suspend Brock Lesnar. Renee Young would catch up to Stephanie and ask her more about what went down with Brock Lesnar. And Stephanie McMahon, I put this tweet out earlier. I basically said Stephanie McMahon, she's really been delivering some very solid and very memorable segments the past several weeks. I mean, she has just really, really been coming into her own as a great on-screen heel character that you know you just love to hate. And she put out a very interesting message to Renee Young that I got to make sure we repeat back, because there was a critical moment that she said about Brock Lesnar. As one of the things that she mentioned was, on top of being indefinitely suspended, he is probably going to be looking at a substantial fine for what he did. And she said, you know, I know he's talking about possibly going back to UFC and all that, but you know what? We just signed him to a multi-year deal, and he just signed a contract. And you know what that means? I own that son of a bitch. Those are her words, not mine. That's exactly what she said. She sold the hell out of that moment right there. So, yeah, and it's unfortunate that Brock Lesnar, at least the way it's looking right now, he's going out at a time where the fans, they just really want to get behind him. They want to love him. I mean, the reaction that he received tonight from the moment that he came out to open up Raw. I know some people were talking about, oh, it kind of seems like maybe they were piping in crowd. No, I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that crowd tonight was energetic. They were into it. They wanted to represent. They wanted to be vocal, because after all, this was the night after WrestleMania. They wanted to bring their best, and I got to give it up to that California crowd tonight. They delivered 10 times over. I mean, the crowd just erupted when Brock Lesnar came out. They were on their feet. They were cheering. They really wanted to get behind this guy. I just hope that reaction is still going to be there. I pray that we're going to get more dates out of Brock Lesnar. I mean, we know he signed a new deal. Those of you that's curious, you might not know, the new deal that he signed with the WWE, it's for 3 years. Whether or not that includes him making more dates, we'll know in due time. But the way it's looking right now, he's indefinitely suspended. So we got to take that for what it's worth. And see what else went down on Raw tonight, other than those really solid moments that came about. NXT got some serious love tonight. I can't stress that enough. NXT, if you haven't been able to check it out yet and you just signed up for the WWE network, now's the time. You're really missing out. NXT every single week on the WWE network. Best hour you will get, especially when it comes to their special 2-hour events that they do. Their little, I won't say pay-per-view, because it's not really pay-per-view. It's special wrestling events that they do. NXT got some serious love tonight. We saw Adrian Neville, the man that gravity forgot, make his WWE Raw in-ring debut against Curtis Axel, successfully picking up the victory. Off to a good start. I know there were a lot of concerns about the way Adrian Neville was going to be brought into the main roster of WWE. A lot of you were picking my brains trying to figure out, what did I think of some of the rumors that was being put out there, as there was this Mighty Mouse rumor. And I just told you guys, as I will always tell you, when it comes to rumors, take them with a grain of salt. And I see that's been making its way to wrestling forums. So it's kind of nice to see that. It's like you hear little coin phrases. You're like, that sounds very familiar, but oh man, he's off to a great start. I mean, he got the pyro work, he's got the whole nice cape, he's got good banging in ring gear, and honestly, I'm a sucker for purple. That's just me. To each its own, but I love a wrestler that's pushing purple. You're already off to a good start in my book. Adrian Neville, though, picking up the win over Curtis Axel. How about that? Not a Curtis Axel, but Adrian Neville. And then the fact that we saw Bo Dallas on the network afterwards. Technically, it doesn't count, but still, you say, oh, he's an NXT guy that's, he did a little bit of stuff off and on the main roster. And then you think about the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto, Sin Cara. They were victorious in their Raw in-ring debut. If I'm not mistaken, this was their Raw in-ring debut. They defeated the Ascension, Kid and Cesaro. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Yeah, it was the Ascension, Kid and Cesaro taking on New Days, Kofi Kingston, Biggie Langston, the Lucha Dragons. Sounds like that's like I'm missing some guys in there. Let me read that one more time. I'm just looking at my notes right here. It was Ascension, so that's two guys right there. Tyson Kidd, Cesaro versus New Day, Kofi. Yeah, I said that right. Yeah, it was Lucha Dragons, Kalisto that had picked up the pin over, I believe it was Victor, the guy that looks like Christopher Daniels. I think that's Victor. Great debut for those guys. The future looks really bright for those guys, and I'm actually really glad that the Lucha Dragons have come up the main roster. In particular, I'm glad that Kalisto has come up the main roster, because I'm sure there's been a lot of comparisons between him, Rey Mysterio, when Rey Mysterio first signed to the WWE, and like those first 5 years of Rey Mysterio and his in-ring work in the WWE. It was just simply, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I mean, when you just look back on his work in later years, like definitely in the past, I would say 4 years, not really the same, especially considering most of that time he really didn't have anything to do with the WWE, as he was out on injury. But a lot of comparisons have been made between Kalisto and Rey Mysterio. He's bilingual as well. He talks English very well. I think WWE have found their new marketing cash cow for the kids. Let me tell you. So my whole thing is, why didn't they bring him sooner? But hey, I'm glad that now it's gone down. It really came off tonight when you look at this episode of WWE. Okay, new beginnings, fresh rivalries, fresh matchups. Time to introduce the WWE Universe to some new stars. As happy as I am to see all of these great individuals from NXT get their opportunity now to shine on main WWE programming, we all need to just really just sit back and really watch how they're being booked these next several weeks, because the next several weeks is really going to determine if they're going to float or if they're going to sink on the main roster. So you guys that love any of these names that I just mentioned, you really need to represent. And if WWE is coming to your respected neck of the woods, when you see these guys come out, get that reaction going, get those cheers going and everything. And I tell you what, if the reports are true that Vince McMahon was really pleased with what he saw from the NXT event over the weekend of WrestleMania weekend, if he was really that impressed, I tell you what, I really would not be surprised if in the next several days we hear something about how Vince McMahon was just so impressed that he said to Triple H, "Look, you have my blessing with whatever NXT guys you want to bring up to main WWE programming. You got a good thing going on. I trust your judgment." I wouldn't be surprised if something like that were to go down. Remember, those of you that love getting your wrestling news fix, you heard that here first with regards to what I had just said, and also make a mental note of what I said about the Michael Cole thing. If it's possible, the beating he took was in retaliation to the WrestleMania start time fumble mention he did last week. Before I talk about the other matches, I just got to say the commentating tonight after Brock Lesnar, I mean, Brock Lesnar just reminded me of Onslaught from X-Men. I don't know if you guys remember, for you comic book gurus out there, I don't know if you remember the Onslaught saga where Onslaught was like just on this freaking warpath and he was like destroying all the X-Men, and like Juggernaut thought he was going to be able to take this guy on because he's the unbeatable Juggernaut. And the Juggernaut got handed his ass. I mean, Onslaught, I'll never forget that. Like for that whole story arc, that was like the one thing that just stuck with me. Like even up to now, was how Juggernaut. I think it was a wounded up, beaten up Juggernaut that just had the look of fear in his eyes as he was like Onslaught. That man's no joke, and that's exactly how I was looking at Brock Lesnar tonight. He was Onslaught. He was bringing the pain. Notice the X-Men reference, as once again we had saw Cody Rhodes. Oh, I'm sorry. His new name is Stardust. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even think his name is Stardust anymore because past 2 nights he's been coming out looking like X-Men's Mr. Sinister. I'm not knocking the man. I think that's a badass get up that he's got. I love it, man. I love it. Unfortunately, Mr. Sinister took a beating at the hands of Damian Sandow. Yeah, one of those rare moments that you see Damian Sandow in singles competition. The victory / celebration would not last that long as he got jumped by The Miz. We knew this was coming. I would think that for this next pay-per-view, that's not supposed to happen for about 4 weeks, we're probably going to see Miz, Sandow go at it. Now this is going to be a situation where Sandow chases after the Miz, tries to get his revenge. So I think it's a safe bet that match is probably going to go down at next month's pay-per-view. Getting to the commentating, after Brock Lesnar did all his Onslaught and all that, there was like about a segment and a half that was just awkwardly quiet. And you're like, wow, guess this is going to be the new trend for the rest of the night. Or maybe they're going to queue up Corey Graves, Renee Young, and let them finish out Raw, test them out, see how they do. I must admit, they've got some great chemistry together. Well, we kind of get the next best thing. At least I thought it was the next best thing. We got Byron Saxton. Now, look, longtime RCWR show fans, you know how consistent I am. You know how consistent I try to be. It's rare I make a retraction. It's rare I issue an apology. But Byron Saxton, I first came across his work with Tom Phillips on Main Event last year. Loved the guys' work together. I thought they did phenomenally well. Then I saw them do their thing on NXT, and then they got to a point where they were kind of rotating it. One week you'd see Tom Phillips, but no Byron Saxton, as Tom Phillips would be with Prince Albert. I can't think of the other guy. There was a guy with glasses. He still does the commentating for NXT from time to time, but he mostly, from what I understand, works behind the scenes. I think his name is Richard. Then the next week you'd see Byron Saxton. Maybe he'd be with Richard, Prince Albert, and then once Corey Graves started doing this thing, once in a while I would kind of see them rotate both for those guys. But I always thought Byron Saxton was a pretty firm, a pretty solid play-by-play guy. I said to myself, hey, you know what? This guy's representing very well. He plays his cards right. Yeah, maybe he can be a future lead analyst for WWE. Maybe he'll be the one to take over the flagship show. Who knows? The Byron Saxton we got tonight, he sounded so unprepared that it was freaking ridiculous. And I was just appalled by his performance. I don't know who the hell was in his ear giving him advice or whatever, but there were so many moments that was going on, so many key moments, and he just was not selling it. And over the years, as long as I have been a wrestling fan. Now, I've been a wrestling fan since I was like 4 or 5 years old. Okay, so that's a long time, and I have friends and family that have been watching wrestling since like the 70s. So I picked their brains on this because I was talking to a few of them earlier tonight, and they just was like, he actually acted like that, and those that did watch, they were like, this guy needs to be taken off of our TV already. He sucks. I'm like, he normally doesn't suck. He's actually pretty good. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe he's taking it, by the moment. Maybe he's in shock, or he never was able to get himself together. And I hope WWE never makes that mistake again, because that's a costly mistake. If you want to experiment or whatever like that, do it in the summertime, when everybody's out of school, they're going on vacation and all this other stuff. Don't experiment the night after WrestleMania, because that is supposed to be your show that, like, pretty much every single segment, it rocked. People are hooked. They're going to come in next week, see what went down. I'm normally a big fan of Byron Saxton, but look, you had a moment where there was a graphic that appeared in the lower left-hand corner saying #1 trend on Twitter, Adrian Neville. Byron Saxton did not sell that. I understand the whole tone of, well, we here, if you're just joining us, we need to let you guys know that I can't say it without laughing, but no, seriously, it's like, you come back from a commercial break and you're like, guys, welcome back to Monday Night Raw. Those of you that's used to hearing Michael Cole, JBL, and Booker T, unfortunately, none of those gentlemen are here right now, as unfortunately they were taken out by the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. We're going to show for you now the footage that just went about. If you did not see this, I must warn you, it is very gruesome, or it's very barbaric, if you will. Roll the footage, guys. You show the footage, and he gives the play-by-play, and he's like, all these men, all these 3 men, they're getting medical treatment right now. We'll have an update for you all as the night progresses. Really wish all of them nothing but the best. We're gonna try to liven up the mood a little bit, and hey, here's Curtis Axel, and then from there, you kind of elevate it a little bit. You kind of bring it back up to that fun point, and then you're really supposed to sell Adrian Neville. I mean, as soon as the guy's music hits, you're supposed to be like, oh my God, folks, it's the man that gravity never forgot. It's Adrian Neville. Those of you that's not familiar with Adrian Neville, he is a former NXT champion, one of the longest reigning NXT champions at that. If you have not checked out NXT, you need to, especially if you have the WWE Network. And a friendly reminder, you can check out the WWE Network at a low price of just $9.99 a month. You know what I'm saying, guys? He didn't sell Adrian Neville in his freaking debut. He didn't sell the #1 trend. You just get this freaking monotone. We got some great Divas action. Here comes Paige, and here comes AJ Lee, and it's like nobody died, dude. Brock Lesnar just freaking demolished people. You sell it for maybe 2 segments, then you pick up. We've seen the story told before. You guys get this, right? And even when Jerry Lawler came out, and you know what? I couldn't have been more happier to see Jerry Lawler I mean, look, he's got corny jokes. We can all be in agreement for that. His jokes are definitely outdated, but I tell you, he was a welcome breath of fresh air because that young brother, Byron Saxton, and I was really rooting him on as a black man because I'm saying to myself, get it, man. This is your opportunity to shine. Prove to the WWE that somewhere down the road, they maybe need to come to you. Hey, I think he fumbled it. I'm not the only one. I mean, there are a lot of you that were very vocal. Hell, even Taz, who's a play-by-play guy for the TNA promotion. He was a play-by-play guy for the WWE. He was watching Raw tonight. Even he said, "Get this young man off. Get a real play-by-play broadcaster in there." The product really suffered. I hope that's an experiment that WWE never tries to do again. And if they do, if anything, do it on SmackDown, do it on NXT, do it on Superstars, do it on Main Event, do it on all those other shows that they got. Don't do it on Raw unless that guy for sure is ready. Now I know we're gonna have some people say, "Well, but it's all about risk. It's all about it's all about risk." But you know what? When you're presented an opportunity like that and you basically choke, it's kind of hard to get another opportunity like that again. And unfortunately, for now, this young man choked on the opportunity that was presented to him. Just my honest opinion. Other action, we saw great United States Championship match between Dean Ambrose and John Cena. Man, that match, crowd very vocal at that one. John Cena sucks. Surprisingly, no Rusev. John Cena put an open challenge out there for anybody to face him for the United States Championship, of which Byron messed up. As we go to the ramp, we don't hear no music for like 8 seconds, and Byron's like, "Here comes Rusev," and then we see Dean Ambrose comes out, and it's like, oh, the kid was the kid was messing up tonight, man. I just couldn't help. Look, this is a challenge I'm gonna put out there to you guys. If anybody, I have it on my DVR, but if anybody has the tendency to record Monday Night Raw, if you can send me the MP4 of it, I will gladly give you guys commentating from the segment after we see what went down with Brock Lesnar, right where it picks up. I will gladly go in there just to have some fun with it because that's a pet peeve that I have. I love from time to time doing some color commentating over like what is like a really good episode, but it ends up being crappy. And I don't know, maybe we can kind of have that be like a underground thing where it's like only shared with like a sin space link or something like that, kind of get people talking. That would probably be something kind of cool to do. John Cena, Dean Ambrose, United States title. Surprisingly, I thought the way that this was going to be booked, I thought for sure Rusev was going to come out and he was going to interfere in this match, let John Cena know that the two of them were not done, not by a long shot. Never in my wildest dreams was I expecting for John Cena to do the attitude adjustment to Dean Ambrose cleanly in the middle of the ring, get a 1, 2, 3. I did not expect that to go down. Surprisingly, we saw Rusev come out later on in the night as he had a squash match. I'm trying to think of who his opponent was. It's unfortunately not coming to me right now. And I'm even looking at my notes here. I can't recall who his opponent was. Somebody help me out, re-jog my memory. Great Divas match. A lot of time was put into the Divas match as the team of Paige, AJ Lee, Naomi, they defeated the Bella Twins, Natalia. I've really been pleased at the fact that for the past several weeks, the Divas have been getting more and more time to tell a story in the ring. Those girls, I tell you, from what they did at WrestleMania and then they followed it up with what they did tonight, those girls, they have just been on a roll. I'm glad that the Divas division is not only stepping it up, but I'm glad that WWE is giving more time to the Divas. And honestly, I think in retrospect, we have Triple H and NXT to thank for that, whether some of you guys like it or not, because you see what those girls are doing in NXT. And I know you guys are like, where's the Charlottes? Where's the Sasha Banks? Where's the Becky Lynch's? Where's the Blue Pants? I got to make sure we put Blue Pants in there. Mia Yim as well. In due time, they are coming. They are coming. Make no mistake about that. Those were pretty much the main points that overall, when you just look back on tonight's show, overall, it was a damn good show. I must say, part of me kind of enjoyed this Raw a little bit more, almost, if not equal, a little bit more than last night's WrestleMania. I will definitely say that. Surprisingly, no Bray Wyatt. Maybe he'll address the whole Undertaker situation on this Thursday's SmackDown. Um, I'm trying to think who else. Undertaker. I don't know if maybe we'll get some type of a cryptic message from the Undertaker this week. We'll have to watch SmackDown and find out. But kind of thought it was interesting how they saved Roman Reigns until the end of the night. I thought that was very, very interesting. And I mean, the way it's looking right now that you have Brock Lesnar out of the title picture, Seth Rollins is in a situation right now where it looks as though Randy Orton, Roman Reigns are going to be gunning for him. So he still kind of has his hands full, if you will. And like I said last night, and I got to reiterate it again tonight, Roman Reigns is in a really good position right now, because I think he would get a better rub off, especially in the position that he's in right now. He's in a better position for a good setup in being a WWE champion now that you have Brock out of the picture, because now that Brock is out of the picture, fans don't know necessarily when Brock is going to be coming back. So this kind of leaves them with no other alternative but to try to rally behind Roman Reigns. The only problem with that is it really appears as though the fans are in love with Seth Rollins, as apparent tonight. I mean, he got a pretty good, strong reaction a bit mixed with Roman Reigns. I see many of you continue to say maybe the answer is Seth Rollins, maybe he goes babyface, Roman Reigns goes heel, have Paul Heyman be Roman Reigns' advocate, and then when Brock Lesnar returns, I mean, that's a very interesting idea right there. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's what WWE is thinking next. Who knows? But, you know, when I look at the position that Roman Reigns is in right now, and he's getting many opportunities, you old school wrestling fans, you'll remember this guy, Lex Luger. Roman Reigns reminds me a lot like Lex Luger. And I can't take all the I can't take all of the praise or I can't take all the credit for that reference. One of my coworkers had brought that up because he's a big wrestling fan, and he was picking my brain on what I thought about WrestleMania earlier today. And you know, he told me straight up, or actually, he's been saying it past couple of weeks now. He's like, you know, Lee, Roman Reigns, he reminds me a lot like Lex Luger, and I'm like, what? Why would you make that comparison? I don't see it. And he's like, well, just think about it. You know, Lex Luger, Roman Reigns, they both are the strong, empowering type of guys. They somewhat connect well with the fans, but they both were put in these positions where, you know, they could have been a WWE champion, but something just did not click. And he's like, that's what I think about when I look at Roman Reigns. And I'm like, I think you might be on to something. But I also told him, I said, I think Roman Reigns can surpass where Lex Luger had failed. And I know some people want to make a little corny joke and say, well, it was the steroids, Lee. That's what ultimately didn't make him become champion. Shame on you. But no, seriously, I saw, you know, I see what he's talking about, but I think Roman Reigns is being put in a very good position that he's in right now, because I can't help but like look at his situation and think about Matt Hardy, Edge. Just think about the position more so for Matt Hardy. I mean, we knew Edge was gonna in due time get to that level, but just to see how Matt Hardy was able to come in there after he got fired, remember? And then you think about a flair for the gold and all that. I'm telling you, I like the placement of Roman Reigns right now. And I said it last night. I'll say it again before 2015 is up. Roman Reigns will get his opportunity to be a champion. But see, just because you become the man, the bigger challenge is going to be, can you draw? That's going to be an interesting tale in itself. On that note, let's get to you guys' comments. And as we're loading up the comments, I want to give you guys a friendly reminder that it looks like next Monday's WWE Raw for April 6, 2015, after Raw goes off the air, Jericho will be live. He'll be doing his webcast slash podcast exclusively on the WWE Network. His first guest, as this is going to be a monthly show, he'll be talking with John Cena. Those of you that have been checking out our shows the past couple of days, you know that this is pretty much night 3 of 4, as Tuesday night, March 31st, 10 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing our live podcast over on Spreaker.com. Make sure you join us for that. We'll cover the very latest in wrestling entertainment headlines. We will also do a special review of the Iron Sheik documentary. I'll let you know if this is something you need to go out of your way to check out. But that March 31st podcast show, that's going to be our final show, as I'm ready to go on a little bit of a vacation. So after the 31st, we will not be back on the air with you all until April 13th. That's Monday night, April 13th. So make sure you check out the podcast tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. As after that, we'll be on vacation. All right. And let's see what we got here for you all's comments here. Load this up. All right, there we go. Bring in the comments, guys. King Lee, that Saxton voice in on point. I wasn't even trying to do Byron Saxton. I was just like literally just offering my thoughts on how the commentating should have been. I mean, the guy was just but King says, I like Saxton, but boy, did he mess up. This was his moment to show the WWE he can be in that seat every single week, but he was horrible. His Twitter bio says, repaired for any challenge thrown his way. Ironic that wow, not prepared, like repaired. He actually has repaired, not King. This is how Byron apparently spelled out repaired. REPARED. When it should be prepared for any. Oh my God. It's hard to defend him when his bio reads that. Jock, after watching Sting's segment after Raw, it is very clear that people want to see Sting versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. I hope they make it happen, my friend. I really do. Andre, I really hope WWE Creative does not mess up the booking with Adrian Neville and the Lucha Dragons. They've already messed up with the Ascension. Ditto that. And notice it was the Ascension that was doing the honors for the Lucha Dragons. How about that? NXT guys being put over by NXT guys. I think that's a really good move. And honestly, I think for the next couple of weeks, I think WWE needs to do that, because when you think about the great matchups that the Ascension was having with the Lucha Dragons before they went up the main roster, you know, there's history already there. So I think if they continue to kind of build off of that and then slowly inject the main WWE roster. I think that would be very, very smart. Uh, Curtis Axel, he is just such a versatile type of wrestler. I mean, he can throw it down with the best of them. I thought him working with Adrian Neville, I thought that was awesome. I would actually like to see those guys work again for a couple of weeks before trying to figure out, what's the next step that they can go. I hope ultimately we'll get an Adrian Neville versus Daniel Bryan for the IC belt. I think that would be freaking insane. WWE, take my money. I want to see that. So, Karan, that's to kind of follow up on what I just said. He, as Kareen says, what do you think about Adrian Neville's debut? Hopefully, you were able to gather it by now. I actually loved it. I enjoyed it. And yes, Weston, yes. To reiterate again, yes, Callisto, he's going to be the new Rey Mysterio. Rocky, what's up? Lee, what's up with WWE's fascinations with one name for a superstar? Honestly, as long as the name sounds catchy, I could do without uh, Marcus Core Valley Who or whatever. I don't mind the one names. If it'll help me remember him better or her better, I don't care, man. What they do in the ring and all that's what all it counts for. Ryan thinks I might be onto something with the Michael Cole punishment thing. And Weston, I respect you saying that you think I'm overthinking it with the Michael Cole segment, but again, I can't stress it enough. And that's the beautiful thing. I love when people say, Lee, I think you're overthinking. Here's the thing. When I see stuff play before my very eyes, I don't sit down and write up on a piece of paper, like 500 lines. I don't do that. I watch everything in a first take. And if anything, I will just maybe have down, oh, yeah, don't forget this match happened, this match happened, this match happened. Everything that you hear me talk about before your very eyes, it's freestyle. I don't rehearse this. That's what makes our show really fucking cool, in my honest opinion, is I don't rehearse this. I kind of have an idea of what I want to say, but everything that comes from out of my mouth, I mean, I say whatever comes to mind. So I'm proud to say, I never overthink anything. And, trust me, when you've been watching the career of Michael Cole and you really do your homework, this is not the first time that Cole has been put in a situation where he's made some type of a fumble. Then the very next week, he gets some tough love. Just saying, I don't be surprised. And I'm telling you, I gotta stress it again. Do not be surprised if you hear before this week is out that was some type of punishment for the WrestleMania fumble. Remember, he's got Vince McMahon. Matter of fact, I remember Michael Cole saying in a recent interview right before WrestleMania that he has like 6 people that's in his ear. He has JBL, he has Booker T, he's got either Triple H or Vince McMahon, his personal assistant, and a executive producer, all in his ear every single week. So, I mean, just think about that 3-hour broadcast. And for that 3-hour broadcast, 6 different people. And then you got to make sure you mention the Twitter thing and all this other stuff. Mick Foley, one of the reasons why he ended up going to TNA, if you guys remember, he got tired of Vince McMahon being all in his ear, yelling the audibles, and when Mick Foley was messing up, he was letting him have it and all that. You gotta have some strong. First of all, you gotta have balls, and then second of all, you gotta have some strong patience, especially when you mess up, because you have that many people all in your ear. I never knew that before about Michael Cole, and I don't think anybody else knew how difficult of a job Michael Cole has every single week, because he had talked about in this recent interview how one of his fans had said to him, man, when Raw or SmackDown is over, I mean, you look like you're freaking drained. You look like you're a zombie. And he justified that saying, well, yeah, these are the reasons why. And he gave a really good, damn good details, I felt, on what his job is like. And I tell you this much, love Michael Cole or hate him, I tell you, when you see the fumble that Byron Saxton had did, it just makes you kind of kick back, and you say to yourself, you know what, that Michael Cole, you know what, he might not be a Gordon Sully, he might not be a Bobby the Brain Heenan, he might not be Jim Ross, but you know what, in his own respected right, he does a decent job. And I don't think we should take that away from him, especially after what we got tonight, as we got Crapola. Couple of more comments that that we'll read for you guys. Please do not put in their third party links and your blogs on why you think XYZ. That's kind of disrespectful. Clear it with me first, and then if it's on point, don't do that though. See. I can't pronounce your name, but I'll be more than happy to give you a shout out. ML, you know who you are. First time subscriber, love the show. You're from Sacramento, North Sacramento, California love at that. I used to live out in California back in 92. Andre, thank you. Raw was at the SAP Center in San Jose, California, for those of you curious. Eric, that Sting segment on the network after the show was just depressing. The look of disgust in his eyes painted a far more telling story than anything Renee had to ask. A look of sheer disgust. He was 100% right those 14 years to never step foot in the WWE because they would mistreat him. That's not my words, folks. That's Eric. I wasn't picking that vibe up, my friend. I don't know. I tell you what, we'll see what happens a couple of months down the road when it comes time for SummerSlam. If maybe he might do something with WWE again. Who knows? Let's see what else we got. I'm going to refresh this one more time, guys. And then after that, we'll shut it down. We'll call it a night. By the way, I want to thank you guys that checked out our WrestleMania post show. YouTube decided to act a little crappy after our live stream was over, as it took like a long time. The video, I think our WrestleMania special ended up being like an hour, 40 minutes, but like YouTube, and I wasn't the only one that had this problem. The processing, it took all night. So I, like, after our live WrestleMania post show was over, I must have been waiting around, God, it felt like anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes before the video finally was done processing. And next thing I know, basically it was like 3 a.m. When it was all said and done. Because then afterwards I had to tag the video and all that. So I was actually pretty happy, as you would imagine, that I had work off today, as you never know, stuff like that can happen. And then Crow, shout out to you, man. I'm very proud to say that I wish I had Buku's money, but as far as this whole having 10,000 subs, I don't know anything about buying subs and ghost accounts. All the people that you see that's interacting with us, they're actual live people. A lot of these people have their own respected Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts. It's okay if you don't like my review. At the end of the day, I consider myself just to be ultimately a wrestling fan first, but I also have my own column. I do my own writing. I'm proud to say that in the 4+ years that I've been on the air, I've had the opportunity to interview many great guests. I've interviewed Shawn Michaels, Diamond Dallas Page, Scott Hall, Jake the Snake Roberts, Bruno Sammartino, OVW multi-time champion Jamin Olavencia, There's a lot of people that I've had the opportunity to speak to. Eddie Trunk from VH1 Classics, that metal show, Jennifer Gottlieb from that metal show. I've talked to a lot of people. So before you want to go on a negative campaign of, I think honestly, I'm picking up a little bit of green with envy, as I see you're trying to plug yourself over with your comments. So you're not really going to get anywhere by bashing people. If I can ultimately give you one piece of advice, it would be to just wear your heart on your sleeve and just be concerned about you. Do what you do. Don't be concerned what other people are doing, and ask yourself, why does this person have this? Why does this person have that? Just worry about you. It's one thing if you want some advice, despite the crappy comment that you gave, I'd be more than happy to give you some tips. But if you're going to be insulting, I think that speaks for itself. Let's see. Lux Kane, tonight's Raw, solid. I give it a 9 out of 10. Really good job. Great debut for the Lucha Dragons and Neville tonight, but I was surprised that they didn't debut Charlotte tonight. Easy, easy. That'll come in due time. You can't go NXT overkill, man. And who the hell told Sheamus that getting a mohawk would be cool? I knew I forgot something. Sheamus did return tonight, and I actually have the graphic for tonight's show to plug to plug Sheamus. By the way, yeah, he did return, and man, did he have a interesting look, man. He had this whole, to me, he looked like Foghorn Leghorn. And if you're following us on Twitter, I actually had put the image out there. that thing that thing was hilarious. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Let's go back to that Daniel Bryan match. Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, fantastic match for the IC belt, of which Daniel Bryan won, but it was post-match that was interesting because we saw a mohawk Sheamus with his beard twisted up and all that, and metal. He came out, and what happened? I remember Bad News Barrett was in there, and he attacked Daniel Bryan after the victory celebration, and we saw Sheamus get in there. He was like ready to go at it. Bad News Barrett didn't want anything to do with him. Sheamus waited for Daniel Bryan to get up, and then he just attacked him. And then he focused his attack on Dolph Ziggler. He grabbed a microphone. He said, "I'm back." And that was pretty much the end of it. I mean, that was like insane right there. I can't believe I almost forgot about that, because I actually have the graphic for tonight's show. And Sheamus is actually a part of that. I can't believe I almost forgot about that. I'm glad we're still on the air. Other than that, I think that might be it. Let me just double check. Let me see. Yeah, that's it. That's it. If you guys have any more comments you want to forward, go ahead, forward the comments, and I'll follow up on what you guys have to say on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR show. All right. In the meantime, for all the very latest wrestling news and beyond, please be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes we have for you guys. That's available now here on our YouTube channel and also on the downloads. Find out, especially for our podcast. If you have not checked out our podcast, you're really missing out. As to date, proudly I say this, as our podcast has been going strong since late 2011 to now. We have over 700,000 downloads and counting. Make sure you join us for that, as we have a lot of fun on there. 10 p.m. Eastern this Tuesday night, Spreaker.com. Do join us. Meantime, make sure you give this a thumbs up, as when you do, you're showing love for us YouTube video creators. And that is going to do it. Until next go round, be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Take care.